Well, there she is.
Where?
Right here, the wagon.
Dad, this is not the car you ordered.
Hey, Griswold. Where do you think you're gonna put a tree that big? Bend over and I'll show you.
Based on a short story by John Hughes called Vacation 58, we get a series of films starting with 1983's National Lampoon's Vacation. Of course, everybody seems to remember Christmas Vacation a lot more. It seems to be the movie that everybody goes to every Christmas, so we're going to start with that one. However, there are 4 films that I'm talking about this week that stars Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo as Clark W. Griswold and his wife Ellen, and their 2 kids that, well, they change every movie, so we'll just talk about them each time we change movies. I guess I don't. We'll talk about that as we go. Anyway, that's right. Welcome back. This is Greg here with Midnight at the Movies for another fun-filled episode this week. Have some gags and see some funny clips. So let's talk about Vacation.
Well, you be careful there, Clark. It's,
Nothing to worry about, Eddie.
Remember, don't try this at home, kids. I am a professional.
Later, dudes.
Let's do this.
Let her rip. Hang pen.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
I know this ship like the back of my hand.
So this movie debuted in the 2nd spot right behind Back to the Future Part 2, which is quite a feat. I have to say that's pretty impressive.
Okay, relax, Doc. It's me. It's Martin.
And I'll do a video on the Back to the Future series in the future. And in fact, if you just watched it, that means I've already made it, which is, I haven't made it yet, but This movie is a lot of fun. I enjoy all these great scenes. Check this out.
Louis? My tree.
So what's the matter with you?
Christmas Vacation has definitely gone on to become quite a Christmas classic alongside other movies from the 80s that have come out, such as A Christmas Story and Home Alone, which technically is 1990.
You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
But these 3 movies have become quite a staple of the holiday season for a lot of people. Clark W. Griswold is the driving force of taking his family on various expeditions of mishap and funny mayhem, but with Christmas Vacation, the formula is subverted slightly with an at-home adventure that only Clark W. Griswold can deliver. Played in his reliable comedic style, we get Chevy Chase in yet another Chevy Chase movie. As one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live from 1975 to 1976, Chevy Chase's career emulated that of other Saturday Night Live alumni to follow him, who went on to have successful careers starring in popular comedy films. And he was one of the biggest players of the 1980s, with films like Fletch.
As a matter of fact, you using the whole fist, Doc?
Just relax.
In 1985, Spies Like Us in 1985,
You want some coffee? That's a good idea.
and the Vacation films. In fact, European Vacation also came out in 1985, so it goes to show that 1985 was definitely Chevy Chase's biggest year, with having 3 films, all 3 successful, although by the early 90s his popularity began to decline. Christmas Vacation, I would dare say, has become one of the top Christmas movies of all time.
I told you had too many plugs in one outlet.
Oh, God.
A true classic in its own right without having to be tied to the other movies in this series. And with that, I will give this movie an 8.5. But let's talk about that holiday trip to Wally World.
What your dad rented.
What the hell is that?
Kevin, that's a 2015 Tartan Prancer. So anytime we run out of juice, we can just pull right over and plug in. I don't know what that is.
We're not talking about 2015's Vacation. I'm going to go ahead and point that this film right here, I didn't like it. I really don't think it fits. And I'm just going to go ahead and score this one real quick as a dishonorable mention. And my score for this movie is an absolute 1. I haven't scored anything at 1 yet, but here it is. The original classic National Lampoon's Vacation is a tour de force of comedic antics that take us on a road trip across country with Clark Griswold's desire to take the whole family on the holiday road to Wally World. Wanting to bond with wife Ellen, son Rusty, and daughter Audrey in tow, they find themselves in a chain of different mishaps along the way, and all of the obstacles that seem to be in Clark's way, he is obsessed to get them all to Wally World. And as the journey progresses, he manages to accomplish this goal and gets the family to Wally World, which is closed.
Sorry, folks, park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
Beverly D'Angelo is his wife, Ellen, and I recently saw her in the movie Violent Night.
I'm starving. Let's eat.
And I just made a video about this not too long ago, and if you haven't seen that movie, I really think you should check it out. It's kind of a mix between Die Hard and Home Alone. Really, those are the main elements, the main ingredients. And so check that video out, check that movie out. But Beverly D'Angelo has been portraying Ellen Griswold in all 4 of these vacation movies, and she's always been a great actress, and I've really enjoyed her in every single different chapter of the series. Beverly D'Angelo. With a budget of $15 million, and it really raked it in the box office, making $61.4 million, and was very successful, and to me is the best of the series, and you can't go wrong with watching this film. So National Lampoon's Vacation was directed by Harold Ramis and written by John Hughes, who has written some of the most popular 80s comedy movies. One of the funniest things to me is when he gets to take Aunt Edna and she passes away on the journey.
She's not fine, Clark. She's dead.
And they end up putting her on the roof of the car. I mean, you just can't beat some of this stuff, and I don't think they could make a movie like this again in today's world. I don't know, but this movie has got such fun and crazy stuff. He's eating a sandwich the dog peed on. I mean, you know, and then Aunt Edna's like, oh, that's okay, I'll eat it.
Shitter was full!
Ah, yeah. You checked our shitters, honey?
Clark, please.
So Rusty Griswold in the original Vacation film is played by Anthony Michael Hall, who appeared in many of the John Hughes films. And he has gone on to do quite a bit of television and movies, and the last thing I saw him in was Halloween Kills.
It's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare.
But anyway, Vacation, what do you think I should score this movie? I'm thinking that this movie right here is definitely going to be a 9.0. It's a great film. It's a classic. So National Lampoon's European Vacation starts off with winning this trip to Europe. They have all these different countries they're going to visit, one after another, and they run into the same old mayhem and crazy antics that seem to always get into Clark W. Griswold's way.
Would you like something to drink? Oh, no, thank you.
I'll have a Coke.
Do you want that in the can?
No, I'll have it right here.
So I gotta say, National Lampoon's European Vacation is one of my little guilty pleasures. It's one of my favorites, actually. I enjoy watching this movie. I guess it's because partly that I came from England when I was a kid that, you know, I got to experience moving from one country to another and the whole kind of culture shock that you get. And that's sort of like what this movie is about, where the Griswolds kind of get this, you know, culture shock of going to all these different European countries. And the one that really makes me laugh the most is when they go to England and he has to pull out a translator. I mean, it's just, you know, it's one of those things.
It's all gone reels of cotton seed, place full of macaroons. Of course, I could get a dog and bone to my old mate Jim to strip down Whitechapel. What?
Daddy's speaking English.
This movie was directed by Amy Heckerling, who also directed movies such as Johnny Dangerously.
You shouldn't hang me on a hook. My father hung me on a hook once.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and A Night at the Roxbury, to name a few.
So, anyways, you guys want to make out or what?
So this second film in the Vacation franchise takes our family into a game show called Pig in the Poke, and the game show is hosted by none other than Gomez Addams himself from the original Addams Family TV show, John Austin. So the game show is kind of loosely based on Family Feud, a TV show that was hosted by Richard Dawson in the 1980s. And he had this tendency to kiss all the women that would be on the show. And there was a little controversy behind it at some point, but it's kind of, no big deal. And during this whole outing, I guess Clark decides he's going to have a little fun with the camcorder. I guess that was the big craze in the 80s, was having these big, huge TV camera-sized camcorders. So he decides he's going to film a little fun. And somehow the camcorder ends up in the wrong hands as it gets stolen while they're having their photos taken. And of course, the next thing you know, there's these posters and it's got her on there, and they turned it into a fluff film. A porno, I guess, is really the only thing I can call it. So, of course, that causes some friction between the two, but ultimately everything ends up okay.
Please let me help you.
Oh, all right. Oh, no problem, Squire. No harm done. Yes, it doesn't hurt much at all.
National Lampoon's European Vacation definitely makes me smile. I'm laughing thinking about it. But anyway, so I'm thinking that I'm going to go ahead and score this movie probably a little bit higher than what most people would. I don't know. I think this movie is definitely worth a 7.5 in my opinion. This is a good movie and it's well worth watching. And it's a valuable part of the Vacation franchise as a whole.
It's amazing. I cannot get left. There's Big Ben Kids Parliament.
So last but not least, we get to Vegas Vacation. This is the final chapter in the 4-film franchise that I've been talking about today. And it brings the Griswolds back together for one more trip. They go to Vegas, and the kids have changed again. This time, we get 2 new actors playing Audrey and Rusty. So we get Vegas Vacation, which came out in 1997. So Clark finally earns that sizable cash bonus promised to him in the previous film from Frank Shirley.
Add 20%.
So he decides he's going to go ahead and take the family to Vegas, and he wants to renew his wedding vows with his lovely wife Ellen. And, I think this movie is underrated. A lot of people really don't give it the credit that it's deserved. I'm not saying it's anywhere near as good as the first 3, and it has become quite formulaic and predictable.
You only think I guessed wrong. That's what's so funny. I switched glasses when your back was turned. Ha ha, you fool.
As usual, we have all of these mishappen and bad things happening to Clark and the family. So in this particular one, we get the family, they go to Vegas, and as usual, things don't go right. Clark gambles away the family's $22,600 bank account, leaving, of course, Ellen furious, and the kids desert him. And of course, the kids end up doing better than he does. Rusty wins 4 cars from 4 separate slot machines. And I mean, I think it's a good movie. It's nice to see the characters return. There was a bit of a gap between this one and the previous entry, and it was nice to see some returning characters. Christy Brinkley comes back in again, and I really liked it. So I'm going to say that Vegas Vacation is definitely worthy of, at least, if I'm going to score this movie, a 5.0. Obviously, it's not going to be in the same league as the first 3. Thanks for joining me. This is Greg here with another episode wrapped up. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you today, man. It was a great time talking about the vacation movies and how fun they are to watch. I will see you next week. I have a video that I've been working on, for the last couple of weeks, actually, and I really can't wait to share it with you. It's right here. Please check it out. I'll see you then. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Begin radical vertical impact simulation now.